Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Corinne Pohlmann, who is the Senior Vice President of National Affairs and Partnerships with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. Thanks for joining us, Corinne. And well, some interesting data put out today, survey data by the CFIB. The one thing that caught my attention, and probably everybody's, was the fact that 64% of small business owners feel that fuel costs, rising fuel costs, are a major concern for their business. How bad is it for them?
It's pretty bad. I mean, we've all seen fuel costs absolutely skyrocketing over the course of the last few weeks for a variety of reasons, as we know, some of which are global events that are out of our control. Inflation, all of those things are certainly adding into the mix. And as we've talked about many times, small businesses are just coming out of a pretty rough 2 years, starting to feel like maybe they can get back on their feet. And now costs are rising incredibly high, including fuel costs, and that's having a real impact on their ability to get back on their feet.
And let's not forget that there's a bunch of costs, right, that are rising. I know here in Alberta, all you have to do, on the home front is look at your utility bill and see that. But that's also the case for a business owner, right? And so 62% said overall rising costs are having a significant impact on their businesses. What needs to be done, I guess, to help the small business community to get through these difficult and challenging times?
Well, first and foremost, we have to make sure the government doesn't make it worse. And that's our biggest concern. And the reason why we're trying to sort of get the word out right now is April 1st, which is just a couple of weeks away. The carbon tax will be increasing from $40 a ton to $50 a ton, which basically means it's going from about 8.5 cents to about 11 cents per liter. And we're seeing that this is just not the time to be doing that. We understand that there are reasons behind that. And the purpose of a carbon tax is to sort of increase the cost of fuel, so dissuade people from using and pushing them more towards energy efficient types of products. But that's already happening naturally at the moment. And so do we really want to make things worse by increasing the carbon tax? Of course, Alberta is one of the provinces that will be subject to that increase. Not every province is, because some provinces have their own plans, but this is part of the federal carbon backstop plan. And Alberta, along with Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and Ontario, will all be facing that increase come April 1st.
What other things would you, as an organization, like to see government do to help support small business again in these challenging times when business still isn't back to normal, obviously, from the past 2 years, and of course their costs are soaring?
Yeah, so certainly looking at other ways to not make it worse. So there are sort of increases coming on excise taxes. So anybody who may be producing beer or wines, they're going to see their taxes go up in the course of the next little bit. We also want to see a sort of stop on CPP increases. We just had one in January. Another one is allotted for next January, but maybe we can find ways to offset some of that, because when you add costs to hiring, it becomes that much more difficult to hire. And when it comes to hiring, maybe extending some of the programs that are in place. There's something called the Canada Recovery Hiring Program, like the government has introduced since last year. Not heavily used yet because they were using many of the other subsidies that are out there, so you can only use one at a time. But now that those are disappearing, this is meant to be to help businesses actually hire new people and bring them back so they can get their businesses back up and running. So that is slated to end in May. We're suggesting let's do it just a little longer till September as we help those businesses get back on their feet. So those are just some of the things that we think governments can do to help maybe offset some of these other things that are hitting them right now.
Corinne, just as a personal question, so don't worry. But I'm just curious. You've been involved with this organization. You've seen a lot of members out there with the CFIB. Does it surprise you, considering what everything that they've been through in the past 2 years, the lockdowns and then openings, lockdowns, openings, and other things? Does it surprise you, the resilience of the small business owner?
It's incredible. I have to tell you, I've been so inspired multiple times throughout the last couple of years by the resilience, the ingenuity, the innovation of so many small businesses that are just trying to figure out, okay, how do I make this work? The passion that they bring to what they do is it's quite inspiring, I have to say. And it's kept me going and saying, okay, well, we've got to figure out ways to make this work, because without this community, without these people making those commitments and investing their time and effort and having that passion, our neighborhoods would be nowhere near as interesting. We wouldn't have all the really cool jobs for our young people. We wouldn't have the variety of things to do. So all of those things really are important to us as a community. And so it's incredible how many of them have really pivoted to find different ways of getting their services or products out the door. Many have actually not taken a salary in months, right? Simply to keep their businesses afloat, because it means so much.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we all have to sort of try to rally around this group and try to find ways to make sure we're still thinking about them, spending our money there, and making sure that we can continue to have these folks in our communities.
All right, super. Thanks, Corinne, for joining us today.
Thank you.
All right, that was Corinne Pohlmann, who is Senior Vice President of National Affairs and Partnerships with the Canadian Federation of Independent Business. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.